Central Illinois is the CI in CI Living.
Thursday on CI Living, film critic Chuck Koplinski reviewed the new movie The Outfit. Today in Dinner and a Movie, Chuck talked to the director and co-writer of the film's storyline.
Important question. Cubs or White Sox?
Cubs. I grew up on the north side.
It's a shame. That's a shame. Well.
We cannot run from who we are. We cannot run from our past and the places of our birth, and nor would I ever want to.
And speaking of not being able to run from your past, that's a great lead into your movie, because the main character played by Mark Rylance, he definitely has a past, and all of this. We get hints of it as we go through this film, but I never feel as though we get the full picture. Was this guy based on someone you knew? Where did you get the idea? I mean, it really kept me guessing all the way through.
I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, the story was very much inspired by a real event that my co-writer Jonathan McLean and I read about. We found out that the first bug the FBI ever planted in its history, this is real, the first bug in FBI history, they planted to get at the mob, and they planted it in Chicago in 1956 inside a tailor shop. And we were so fascinated to hear that. But we both sort of looked at each other and said, "Oh, well, that sounds like a movie."
Yeah.
The idea of kind of telling the sort of twisty, knotty, complicated crime thriller, or sort of 40s, 50s noir film that we all kind of grew up loving. What if we could sort of go into that kind of twisty crime thriller genre, but tell the story not from the perspective of the mobsters, but tell the story from the perspective of this kind of meek, mild-mannered tailor who has to make their clothes. And so that was real, right? Like when the FBI, I mean, in the real world, when the FBI wanted to get at the mob, you go to the guy who makes their suits. You go to the guy who sort of is in the room overhearing bits of conversations, things to each other, who they're using his shop for a drop spot. We thought that was such an interesting kind of dynamic. What's it like to be this sort of decent man who has to work in the service of these people who he knows to be monsters?
Yeah. You're much more familiar with this process than I am, obviously, but you write the script, you picture things in your mind, and then someone like Mark Rylance signs on and comes aboard. What did he bring to the character of the project that you didn't anticipate that made it better, or was like, oh, wow, I didn't think of that. That's a great idea.
Yeah, I will say, especially as a first-time filmmaker, one could do a lot worse in getting to find teachers and getting a master class in screen acting than from just getting to sit there and watch Mark Rylance deliver a performance day in and day out. He's in every scene of this film. He is virtually in every shot of this film. And so I learned so much about the craft of screen acting, this craft that he has devoted his life to perfecting, from working with him every day. Mark is he's so passionate. There's no detail that escapes his eyes. There's no detail too small. We can open every drawer of that tailor shop and Mark can tell you what's inside, where every thimble is, where every needle thread, where every needle is, and exactly why. We've talked it through. We know why everything is exactly where it is. And I think it means there's just this. I remember actually the first time he came in and saw, we were putting the work table, which his character is supposed to work in. I remember we were in a rehearsal room upstairs rehearsing some scenes, and we came downstairs and I showed him the work table had finally arrived. We put it on the set. And I remember he instantly stood at it, and he'd spent all this time training with Savile Row tailors. He'd been all this time sort of learning how to kind of do this work himself. And he instantly stands at the table and he puts his hands on it and goes, "It's an inch too high." And our lighting team comes over and says, "Oh yeah, sorry, we had to raise it a little bit for the lights, and we had technical reasons." And he says, "No, we've got to lower it." And so we lowered it and figured it out. But what I learned so much from him is that there's no detail that escapes his attention.